guys, and a happy Valentine's Day to you. My voice has gone all high-pitched, I think, because I had a little nap. Anyway, I wanted to just have a quick chat with you today, a little bit slightly different than normal, because today is Valentine's Day, so the 14th of February 2021. My laptop is just resetting itself, it's just updated, so it might go off in a minute if you hear a weird noise. But on Friday evening, after I did Free Book Friday, I had a call, a virtual online experience with Dina Castor, who is a long distance Olympic runner. I think she won bronze medal in the Athens Olympics. And we were talking quite a bit. She was sharing some of her tips and tricks and hacks for confidence and mindset and some of the things that she uses every day to celebrate and get through. And we were talking about gratitude, which was really, really interesting. And I'm generally quite grateful for things, and I do a kind of a gratitude practice every day anyway when I'm having my eye shower in the morning. But I suddenly realised the date and that it was coming up to the 14th of February, which is obviously Valentine's Day. And I suddenly was thinking about this time last year, and wow, what a difference a year makes. Now, I was at this real weird point last year where I was working with clients, so I was ghostwriting, I was doing vellum formatting for clients, and I was also video logging online as well for another client. And I was desperate to become a full-time author, but I wasn't brave enough to make that step. And it was almost like the universe kind of pushed me into doing that. I was terrified of giving up that daily income when it wasn't a lot, but I just knew in my heart that there was no way I would be able to get back to the Lake District to buy my forever home, to have a financially stable life if I continued the way I was doing, where I was just in this kind of survival mode. And I love my clients and I love the work I was doing, but it wasn't something all this time, it wasn't the dream, it wasn't the goal, and it was just like I was just about making enough to make ends meet, to pay my rent, and I didn't want to be doing that forever, and I wanted to get back to the Lake District. So in order to make that change, I had to take this massive, giant leap of faith, and I was really, really scared about doing it. And then I set up a Kickstarter campaign, not really thinking that anybody would support at all. I think I had about 10 patrons at that time, so I really didn't think like anybody was really reading my books, that anybody would support, it wouldn't be worth supporting. So I had this Kickstarter campaign up, I set it all up, and the plan was that I was going to commit more time to my author career, and I'd helped the self-publishing show, I'd helped them to get the venue for their very first event, which was taking place at the South Bank Centre in London, and then was going to be followed by the London Book Fair, which seemed like a really good time to kind of officially launch my publishing business, my company, and to become to start spending more time with my writing. Then my dog got very, very sick. I already knew she was sick. She was 15, she had cancer, and I knew that we were heading to her final days really, but she was still fighting, she was still hanging on. And I was back and forth to the vet, which was about a 6-hour round trip from here to the vet, where they had an x-ray machine. It was cold, it was miserable, we had to go on the bus, it was just exhausting. And also finances were really tight because obviously all the vet visits and things. And then my laptop died. I had 2 books I was about to publish. I lost both books because somehow in saving them to Dropbox, the vellum formatting file hadn't quite saved. And because I write directly into vellum, I don't know what happened, but something happened with the Dropbox and I lost both books and some other work I was working on. And I also got really sick, and we didn't know it at the time. Me basically. I didn't know it at the time, but it turned out that it was probably COVID that I picked up on this bus journey backwards and forwards. to the vet, and I think it was like a 4-hour wait at the vet to be seen as well. So somehow in the process of travelling to and from the vet, and I came home one day from the vet and I had this massive temperature. I was really, really ill, and I was kind of freaking out a little bit about what if, like if something happened to me, like no one would find me, and I don't know, it was just a really dark time. And obviously coming to terms with the fact that, my best friend, my dog of 15 years, we travelled together, who was my rock, who always kind of saw me through the bad times, who was really struggling as well, that, she was going to be not much longer for the world. So kind of coming to terms with that as well. So, and then my laptop died. So I lost all of my work. I lost all of my communication to the outside world. I lost connections to my bank account, to online shopping for food, to all my clients, all my income. My whole income was dependent on my laptop. And obviously I'd started this Kickstarter campaign as well. So then I wouldn't be able to connect with the Kickstarter campaign. That was going to probably end up a flop. The London Book Fair got cancelled, and we basically went into lockdown, and it was just a really dark, miserable time. It just felt really uncertain, and obviously then with all this talk about lockdown and coronavirus, and then people panic buying, the shops ran out of food. It was impossible to get any cat food. The only cat food I managed to get, so I would normally buy cat food for like, I don't know, £10 for like a kilo, and it went up to £180 for a tiny little bag of like really rubbishy cat food. And whatever cat food I could get, I ended up feeding it to the cats, and then it was just, I think it was like reindeer or something, I'm not quite sure. It was really weird. And that was the only food I could get. I mean, that is no exaggeration, because everyone had been panic buying, and I don't know, the world was suddenly going a bit weird. So they ended up with like upset tummies, like diarrhea, they were vomiting. And I just had this overwhelming sense of like the kind of creatures around me that I loved, that, I just felt very powerless, I think, to change anything, to make any difference, to look after the ones that were the most important to me, that gave me all this joy. And, to not, like, it just felt like I couldn't really do anything to change anything. The supermarkets ran out of food, they ran out of toilet rolls. I don't know anybody over here in the northeast. I'd only recently kind of ended up over this side of the country, where my landlords on the northwest sold my house that I was renting from them, and I kind of ended up homeless effectively. And then there was a rumour that the company that owned the house that I'm living in was also going bankrupt as well, because of COVID and the pandemic and all this kind of stuff. So it was a terrible time. And the vets, obviously, then they were kind of like shutting down as well. So there was, in the last days of my dog's life, like, it was very uncertain, like whether they would be able to come and put her to sleep, if that was the option, whether I could take her in and put her to sleep. That was no longer an option. And just things like, when she died, like, would I be able to get her cremated? And in the end, she actually died on Valentine's Day, and it was very lucky in the way it worked out, because the crematorium actually came and picked her up on the 14th of February. And then the panic was that even though they cremated her, because of the lockdown, it looked like they weren't going to be able to bring her ashes back when they had originally said that they would. So again, everything was very, very uncertain. And obviously at this point I was really ill as well, and kind of struggling in the house, and I had no food. I only had I think I had a bag of lentils left, and I ate that for a week. So really scary, uncertain times. But in that kind of like really bad situation, actually my readers were amazing, and I now have over 100, about 100 patrons. My Kickstarter was successful. I had to wait for that, obviously, I think it was running until like end of March or something. And then luckily I was able to get a second-hand laptop, so that meant I could start working for myself. And I also decided the timing was good in some ways because I had no option but to just sit and chill out with my dog. I couldn't work because I didn't have my laptop. There were no distractions. I couldn't do anything else, and also I was sick, so all I could do was basically just sit and lie and be with my dog. And she passed in kind of the best way that she could have passed, really, just in my arms, and it was very peaceful, and the cats were there as well. So yeah, and within that, like, so my publishing company, Isla Britannica Books, is named after my dog, which is really nice. It's a good way of kind of remembering her, and she gave a lot of joy to lots of people in her work at the hospice, with the orphanage. She came to work with me on the film productions, in schools. We lived in, I think, about 20 countries together in our different adventures all over the world. And yeah, she was just a very special dog. And so yesterday, one of my readers sent a picture of themselves. You'll know who you are if you're watching this. And yeah, you really cheered. I mean, I didn't need cheering up as such yesterday, but it just was a nice reminder of why I do what I do and why books are so special, really. So yeah, my dog Isla, she gave a lot of joy to a lot of people all over the world. And one of my readers posted a picture of herself in one of my t-shirts, one of my Dead on Donut t-shirts that she bought, who's one of my readers, who's one of my patrons. And I just was thinking, and so in this session with Dina as well on Friday, it just suddenly kind of hit me just how grateful I am and how lucky and how privileged and honoured I feel to know all you guys, to have these like amazing readers, amazing patrons. And wow, what a difference a year has made, because I made a decision back in February the 14th last year that I never wanted to be in a position again where I didn't have like funds that I could afford to buy cat food, like the last bag of cat food for £180, where I would basically just be in a position where I didn't want to ever be in a position again where I couldn't do something to fix things, where I couldn't provide for my little fur baby family or whoever. And so, yeah, when Isla died, I made this massive decision that I wanted to kind of carry her legacy forward, to pass on that joy that she gave me, and that comfort as well. And so, yeah, my company is called Isla Britannica Books, my publishing company. And I know that some of my readers have been going through chemo and things and have sent me lovely messages to say how my books have helped them through really dark times as well. And I think that's just, you know, that's kind of a little bit of Isla as well. Like, that's Isla's heart, that's her little gift to the world. Still paying that forward in some ways, and that's really special. And because of my Kickstarter backers, I was able to become a full-time author. I now have my books out. I've got really brilliant patrons, readers. I get lovely messages all the time. And also, I was thinking about, in this pandemic time, so I haven't been eligible for, like a lot of people who aren't working at the moment are eligible for things like furlough and the size grants here in the UK. But I had only just started my limited company, and so I'm one of the excluded people, one of the excluded limited companies who aren't eligible for support because the business is new. But actually, I was thinking that one person who bought my t-shirt, who bought my book, what a difference that makes. Because actually, when people buy and read my books, they are very important, they are special, and I never really appreciated that before. But when somebody buys my book, it means not only am I making a living from it, but I'm able to employ, like through this pandemic, I've been able to kind of pay this forward in this weird way, which I hadn't really appreciated. So I have employed through the pandemic an accountant, a cover designer, an editor, let me think who else, a narrator for the audiobook. And if it gets made into a film at some point, then obviously there's a whole lot of people, a cast and a crew, that will also have jobs that have happened because of this little story in my head, this little imagination, this imagining of these characters, this world, this little book. This one book has actually gone on to create jobs and employment for all these different people in some, even if it's a small way, it's still made a big difference. You know, obviously that's kept Amazon in business as well. It's kept Grymr and Spark in business because they've had things. It's kept Audible in business, as well as the fact that all these people have had my free books as well. So they've had books to read in the pandemic. They've had stories to listen to, which hopefully has brightened their day as well. And it's easy to not think about those things, but actually, and also in the fact that, you know, I had a big tax bill as well. So, I mean, I haven't earned like millions or anything like that, but I still had to pay tax. And so the tax I've paid has gone on to fund the nurses, the firemen, the police, has gone back into I've paid it forward. It's gone back into supporting the economy in this kind of really weird time. And I think I have to remember that sometimes, because sometimes I feel quite guilty when I'm sat writing, like, especially in the pandemic and having worked in the NHS before, like and definitely initially, I think February, March time, I did have a little bit of a dark time where I felt quite like I should be doing something in the pandemic to help people. And when I worked in accident and emergency, obviously I was helping people on a daily basis, and I just felt like, well, maybe writing books is kind of, it just seems really trivial and not like it's helping anybody, but actually in my own small way. And I think this is actually going to help me to be more productive in future and to feel less guilty when I'm writing, because I love writing so much. To remember actually that, you know, books do help people a lot. They give people pleasure, they give people an escape in rough times. They give people something to listen to while they're working, if they're listening to them on audiobook. They help people who are, you know, having chemo, or who are stuck in a hospital bed or commuting somewhere. You know, they help people on that level, but also financially they help people as well. They keep people in employment, and they also provide tax money, which goes on and goes back into the, you know, the community and supports country in that way as well, even if it's just a small scale. So yeah, I am feeling immensely grateful today, and I think it's kind of just good to acknowledge that. It was obviously very, very sad, and it's still, like, it's a year later, and I miss Isla a lot. She was an amazing dog. There's some very big boots to fill with any future dog. And it's kind of weird because I haven't left the house since Isla died. Obviously, because of the pandemic, we've been on a local lockdown. So I haven't seen anybody in person in over a year. I haven't been out. And I was obviously walking my dog every day until she died. So not having dog walks and things is definitely quite weird. But in that as well, I've had a really cool day today, and I've actually made a lot of really amazing friends over the course of the year. And also a very big thank you to Craig Martell, who's part of my author community, because Craig and all the other authors basically set up this like a grant to support people who were really struggling when the pandemic began. And because of them, I was able to, obviously all the food prices and things going up, there were no supermarket slots. And I also got a text from the government to say that I was clinically at risk and I wasn't to go out the house because I was going to be more at risk as well. So Craig sent me some money across, and that just enabled me to buy cat food, even if it was a stupid price, and to buy like basic food. And then obviously the government started sending like these essential food parcels and things later on. But just, you know, that friendship, what a difference it made. That support was amazing. Just not necessarily the money itself, but just the fact that people were there and rallied around, and everybody was doing what they could to help out. So massive thank you. And there's a lot of good things that have come out of the past year as well. I'm not working with clients now, and I'm now able to write my books. Obviously, my energy has been a bit low over the course of the year from this, like, probably what seems to be long COVID, chronic fatigue, being stuck indoors, so like vitamin D deficiency, whatever it is. But I've also found a writing coach, like a productivity coach in Amy. So I've been able to start working with Amy thanks to a government grant. I got a bounce back loan from the government, which obviously I have to start paying back. But, you know, that meant I could buy all my covers, invest in my business. My Kickstarter meant I could buy a laptop, like a second-hand laptop to keep me going. There's a lot of really cool, good stuff that came out of it. Friendship support and just the virtual experiences, the Airbnb virtual experiences. So tonight I have another mindful movement session with Mimi, who's one of the Canadian bobsleigh Olympic team members. That's been amazing. I found I found a friend in her. And so, like, yeah, once a week we're doing like this kind of yoga session online, which is really awesome. And today I actually spent the entire day with will.i.am filming for the Voice Kids Christmas special for next Christmas. That's kind of weird, but we would, like, you know, getting to like perform Christmas songs and things. So it was a long day of filming, but just, you know, what a cool way to spend the day today. Yesterday I had a really long Zoom call with my friend, one of my best friends who I haven't seen. She was actually the last person I saw, not the Christmas just gone, but the Christmas before. And we're now writing a book together, so that's really cool. Like, she's never written a book before, so I'm really just excited, I think, and hopeful for the future. And that's a very big difference in mind and physical. I don't know, like, everything is just, it's such a different place today than I was this time last year. Massive difference. I've got pictures on my wall with my book covers now. I've got the heating on, which I couldn't really afford to have last year. I've got food in the cupboards. I've got an Easter egg on the side, like chocolate, which is something I never would normally have. And books out, and I'm really excited to be writing and getting into writing. And there was something else I was going to say as well. Yeah, that was it. So we were filming The Voice Kids today, and that is really exciting because the kids who were singing today, we were chatting to them a little bit in between, and that gives me so much hope for the future, because these are really, like, they're so independent, but they know who they are, to be doing the stuff they're doing at such a young age. And that really excites me for the future generations. They're really cool kids coming up, and to think that they've lived through this weird year as well, this weird pandemic, and yet they are amazing kids. Really cool and smart and clever and intelligent, and just a whole new generation, a whole new way of thinking. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see what they bring. Like, they're so wise and knowledgeable, and they have their very different take on the world, I think, especially living through this kind of pandemic time, being homeschooled, whatever. So yeah, it's a positive day today. It's a really cool day. I've had a really awesome day hanging out with the really cool judges, the coaches on The Voice, filming virtually, which is weird. Yeah, I'm really happy, really grateful. I'm in a really good place, and I think I kind of appreciate the fact that my books do help people, and it's okay to write them and not to feel guilty about writing them, because actually they do. It is my way of giving back to the world, and also I think celebrating Isla as well, and the spirit that she had about her, and paying that forward and sending that energy out into the world to help other people through writing. So yes, a long waffly vlog today, but a really cool day, and just I don't really say it often enough, but thank you if you have been around, if you stuck around with me for this past year. The year definitely hasn't been as I had planned, as I had imagined. I haven't got all the books that I wanted to get out, and my writing energy has been much lower than it normally would be, but I am getting back. I'm getting my strength back. I'm getting my writing brain on, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting more books out for you guys, and thank you for being here and for sticking with me and being patient and kind and not giving me loads of grief over this past year. So yeah, I think on reflection it's been a lot tougher than I kind of gave it credit for, but I'm really, really grateful for so many things today. And I'm just excited to get back into writing and to start being able to share books, new stories with you, you guys soon. It was funny because I one of my books is Partridge and Pear Tree, and Will had this complete random went off on one with partridges and pear trees today. So yeah, you guys won't see that until Christmas, but I can't say too much because obviously contracts and stuff. But yeah, it was a really funny day, really loads of really good energy, good vibes, and yeah, I'm gonna go and get some little jobs done before my session with Mimi tonight. Yeah, I was gonna say Happy New Year. I suppose it is kind of a Happy New Year because it's the Chinese New Year, so I can say that. It's all the filming Christmas things today, a little bit confusing. But anyway, have an awesome rest of the day and the rest of your weekend. Thank you for sticking with me all this time. I really do love and appreciate you guys, and I don't say it enough, but you do mean the world to me. So this is my kind of Valentine's gift to you, I suppose. Yeah, thank you guys, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.